Washington is renowned for its abundant supply of fresh apples, greens, and fish, among other seafood goods. We also know that it is unquestionably the location of significant businesses like Microsoft, Starbucks, Boeing, and many others. Others with well-known faces can be found in Seattle, like Jimi Hendrix, Bill Gates, and Paul Allen. Hello, guys. Seattle, Washington, sometimes known as the Emerald City, is the center of the tech, music, and coffee industries. Many people are aware of this location, but is it truly all that great? Here are the top 10 reasons you should reconsider moving to Seattle, which I'll go over in this video. 10. Diversity levels are low. You may expect a more diversified population given that this city is located near the Pacific Ocean, but surprisingly, there aren't many residents who aren't white. Asian communities are expanding, for sure, but there isn't much of a reason for this. Spanish-speaking residents make up only 4% of the area's population, which is substantially smaller than the 78% of English speakers, according to Area Vibes, which also notes that the neighborhood is predominantly white. I advise heading south, perhaps to a state like California, if you expect to encounter diverse communities of every racial and ethnic background. 9. Public transportation. The absence of a public transit system is the final argument against residing in Seattle, Washington. Although they are extremely rare, they do occur in Seattle. Even if it is quite difficult to find a convenient parking space everywhere in the city, it is more worthwhile to put up with the inconvenience and drive your own car throughout the city. In some instances, it would really be preferable to stroll on foot rather than use the currently available public transportation system because it is so unimpressive. In addition, there aren't enough for everybody to actually use them at once. You are unavoidably pushing other people to choose an alternative mode of transportation because the public transportation system is so limited. Simply put, the area is unfriendly and underserved by public transportation. 8. The Seattle Freeze. This phrase basically means that the area in question, whether it be a neighborhood or the entire city, has a bad reputation for being unwelcoming to strangers. Everyone in the center of Seattle seems to be preoccupied with their own affairs, therefore it appears to be a typical theme there. In Seattle alone, this socio-economic divide has solidified as the norm and does not appear to be lowering. If you're thinking of relocating here, you should know someone who is from the area because they can introduce you to the locals more quickly than if you went alone. 7. Wildfires. There are surprisingly many wildfires that occur every spring and summer for a city that is known for its wet seasons and persistent dismal, dreary skies. In accordance with embracing anywhere, some of the worst during the previous 2 years. Even when daily tasks include being outdoors, like building or exercising, they become difficult to complete because of the dusty haze in the air, which surrounds our life with a smoke-like fog. The reason why wildfires occur frequently may be due to the abundance of trees, which during the hotter months provides a reliable supply for fire ignition. 6. Poverty/homelessness. Although Seattle is developing and there is a lot to discover, not everything in the city is a happy-go kind of experience. Seattle is undoubtedly appealing to homeless people, just like any city. Individuals that live in Seattle's tight-knit communities are frequently heavily involved in drug use and trafficking, and as was briefly mentioned in the section on criminal activities, crime is rampant there. You must always be alert of your surroundings when moving around Seattle, regardless of your status, and you must move quickly and swiftly when moving around such locations. 5. Overcrowded noises. Seattle's excessive noise pollution, and probably the noise pollution in general, is another factor against advocating living there. At one point, I was a resident of Seattle's downtown, which opened my eyes to the noise level of the city. Loudness is measured in frequency rather than magnitude. As was briefly mentioned previously, noise is constantly present throughout the day, during the morning, noon, afternoon, and evening. You are never secure from such noises, whether they are coming from traffic, throngs of people, or construction. In the city, there are relatively few times when it is calm, and those times are usually brief. 4. Traffic. The steady and never-ending influx of cars should be obvious to anyone who has ever driven past a city. This brings us to our next point. You are erroneously assuming that by choosing to travel to Seattle early in the day, during lunch, and during the rush hour at the conclusion of the workday, you can effectively avoid the traffic that exists in all cities like Seattle. Because there are so many jobs in the city and so many people who need to drive across vast distances to get to work, the employees are undoubtedly the main cause of the heavy traffic and possible overcrowding. The metropolis is constantly buzzing with traffic horns, human conversation, and occasional construction. 3. Weather. Now, how can you criticize Seattle without bringing up its persistent rain, haze, and especially its perpetually cloudy weather? On mental maximum health, it can be noted that having persistent rain and the grey sky overhead can generate a sense of despair and lack of incentive to be happy, especially during the milder seasons of winter and fall and even early spring, even if Seattle is nowhere near at possibility of drought during the scorching summer. The hardest times are during these seasons. Because it is so cold, it is likely that you're going to freeze to a significant amount. In addition, lack of exposure to the sun can drive anyone crazy because they don't feel well or like they are in paradise. 2. Criminal activities. The escalating crime rates in the city are another factor that can rule Seattle, Washington out for you. The 2020 to 2021 crime rates, which include homicide, arson, violent assault, etc., have increased to 10%, according to Van Life Wanderer. In one manner or another, the majority of criminal activity has increased. Only homicide, rape, and burglary have seen a decrease in that year. Homicide has seen the most change, dropping by about 25%, while the other two have remained stable, dropping by between 1 to 6%. 1. Living is expensive only if you are constantly sharing housing expenses or living with another individual for free. Is mediocre employment in Seattle truly good? When one has such unimpressive occupations, living alone completely is a formula for catastrophe. Anyone who lives here would undoubtedly be disappointed by the exorbitant expense of living. Even seasoned Seattle residents wonder if they need a change of pace to become more resourceful and save money for potential future undertakings. This is true even for individuals who have lived in Seattle for a long time. Conclusion. The top 10 reasons listed above should make you reconsider moving to Seattle, Washington, guys, are as follows. Despite all that it offers, not everyone will enjoy Emerald City. Seattle faces a variety of difficulties, including congested streets, inclement weather, and a tight housing market. Seattle may be a terrific place to call home, though, if you're ready to accept the city's eccentricities and can handle the rare wet day. Thank you for viewing, and please let me know in the comments section below whether you concur with their justifications or not.